welcome everyone. I'm Amar bin Salim from the Office of Advancement at LUMS, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this webcast on the Executive MBA program, which is offered through Suleiman Dawood School of Business at LUMS. Suleiman Dawood School of Business is the most prestigious business school in the country, and it is amongst the leading business institutions of South Asia. SDSB has a proven record of producing industry leaders and highly effective managers, and on top of that, it is the first and the only business school in Pakistan to have gained the AACSB accreditation, putting us amongst the 5% of the business schools across the globe with this elevated certification. Talking about the goal of today's program, we will definitely be introducing the Executive MBA program to you, plus we will walk you through the program structure, we will talk about the admissions criteria, the important dates that you will have to take care of, and we shall be taking in your questions and we'll have them answered by our panelists. So I'm truly honored to have Dr. Shakil Sadiq Jajja, Mr. Asad Alam, and Mr. Raza Server. Dr. Shakil Sadiq is an associate professor of operations and supply chain management, plus he's also the director for the Executive MBA program at LUMS. He has a PhD degree from LUMS, and he had previously worked with organizations including Atlas Honda and Pakistan International Airlines. Mr. Asad Alam is an assistant professor at SDSB of accounting and entrepreneurship, and he has been teaching the MBA and Executive MBA students for more than 15 years now. Mr. Raza Server is an alumnus of the Executive MBA program at LUMS, and he is presently working as the General Manager of Talent Acquisition and Outsource Services at PTCL. So thank you very much for joining us today. So let me formally begin now. Dr. Jajja, starting with you, could you introduce the Executive MBA program to our audience and also touch base with the program structure?
Yeah, so Executive MBA is basically a program that seeks to help those managers who have been in the industry for say around 10 years, and they need some managerial frameworks and competence that they need to progress to the next year of management. So they are middle to senior managers who are really aspiring and look up to making an impact in their organization, in their lives, and take more challenging roles in their organizations and in their personal lives as a manager. So this is how the program is positioned. And as far as the structure is concerned, I think this is a very flexible program. This requires you to come for 2 days after every 2 weeks. So this gives a lot of leverage to the professionals who are working. They can maintain their job, they can excel there, as well as they can seek more education, Executive MBA from LUMS. So that's how the structure is developed. Though there are some patches where we ask them to come for say 10 days, I think couple of patches where we ask them to come here for education. Otherwise, I think it's quite flexible. So that's as far as the program's positioning and structure is concerned.
Okay, so how many courses do the students have to study during their 2 years time?
Yeah, so there are many courses. See, they have to complete the regular MBA requirements put forward by Higher Education Commission, which is 60 credit hours coursework. So we have to offer them 60 credit hours coursework. We actually exceed that. We do 63 hours of credit hours of coursework,
okay.
And that those courses talk about operations and supply chain management. They are around finance, managing people, managing technology, strategy, sales. So those are the areas that are covered in the program, broadly speaking. And naturally, this is an MBA program, so it covers all those areas that an MBA program needs to cover.
Okay. So Asad, you have been teaching the Executive MBA for quite a while now. Mm-hmm. You were also the ex-director of this program.
Yes.
So who do you think makes a perfect candidate for this program?
I would say a person who, like Shakil said, a person who has worked in the industry for 8 to 10 years. Currently, or at least till last year, our average experience was about 12 years, which was wonderful. So although we require minimum 6 year worth of experience, but our average class for the past 3 years, the average experience has been 12 years. So the more experience you have, the better you will be able to relate to some of the things, because our MBA and our executive MBA are supposed to be very, very practical degree. So things that how to kind of a manual,
Okay.
what to do in HR situation, what to do in accounting and finance situation, and we try to bring in as many examples from the industry as we can.
Mhm.
So an ideal candidate would be who needs all this information, who needs all this experience to excel to the next level. So the senior management or the top tier management. So a lot of our graduates over the years, I've seen that after doing our executive MBA, they have been promoted. They have actually, some of them also started their own entrepreneurial venture.
Mhm.
So we have a very, very good track record, something that LUMS, especially STSP, is extremely proud of, that some of the things that our alumni have been able to achieve, it's just incredible. I mean, something that any university in the world would be proud of, and we are extremely, extremely proud of that.
Okay, all right. Raza, first of all, thank you very much for. I mean, for audience who really don't know, Raza is driving to. He has just driven to Lahore from Islamabad. Thank you very much for joining us today. Raza, who do you think does the executive MBA really help, and how? I mean, you were here. Were you coming from Islamabad every alternate weekend?
Yeah, every alternate weekend.
So how
we
did
used
that
to-
work out for you?
We used to reach here on Friday evening,
Okay.
and after attending 2 days, full days classes, then we used to commute back to Islamabad on Sunday evening.
Okay.
Yep. So basically, MBA is for middle level managers who are somehow maybe stuck or who wants to pursue their career further.
Alright.
Who want to be promoted to other ladders, who want to gain more knowledge in different fields. So MBA basically, LUMS MBA surpassed all my expectations, to be very honest, right? This institute have world's finest faculty members, right? Who
Right.
give you really tough time. They do not spare you in any case. But the kind of knowledge you get from these professors, from this tough routine, is really rewarding in your career.
Okay. All right. So it was it manageable?
Yeah, it was tough, it was
It was
challenging,
tough.
but at the end of the day, it was manageable.
And what difference do you think it created in your life when you walked out of LUMS with an executive MBA degree?
I think I'm more confident, right? I have gained a lot of knowledge. This is no doubt the best university of Pakistan, at least, because my other degrees are also from Pakistan. And basically, it gives a mixture of knowledge from all different fields. Like we studied operations, judges have taught us operations management. Then Asad Alams have taught us finance. We did projects on marketing.
All right.
So what happens is that when we are assigned projects from different fields,
Mhm.
then in our organizations we go back to different functions, and we start talking in their own language. I still
Okay.
remember when I went to went to do my marketing project.
Mhm.
I went to marketing department. When I was using their language, using their jargons, they were also surprised that what has happened to an HR guy, that he is
You were
talking
stealing
our
their
language.
edge away.
Yeah. So it gives you a lot of knowledge. It gives you confidence. So it's a general management degree, not specific to any marketing or HR.
I think Ammar, if I were to summarize what Raza has said and my own sense of the feeling, it requires hard work. It is taxing. It is rigorous, but it is engaging.
Okay.
It is stimulating, and it is interesting.
Okay.
So that, I think, offsets the hard and tough part. So both these things happen. So maybe Raza, you can elaborate the classroom experience. So you see, when I say that it is interesting, it is stimulating. It stimulates you in the classroom. It pushes you. It makes you think. So maybe you can elaborate what happens in the classroom that resonates with what I am saying.
Actually, basically in LUMS, for everyone there is case study method, right?
Mhm.
For every lecture you have to prepare a case study, right? So it is expected from our professors that when you are coming to the class, you are fully prepared about the case which you are supposed to prepare. Then you get almost 30 seconds window to come up to explain your thoughts about whatever you have studied, right?
Okay.
So it is quite competitive. Class is quite competitive. There is we had class of 29 people, right?
Okay.
So there was a competition that who marks the best CP, right? So you have to come prepared. Yes, it was stimulating because the class combination is of like 29 people sitting of having average experience of 12 years, right? So you learn a lot from different people. So basically professors in the class play the role of a moderator, right? They do not exactly like typical, they teach you like typical other
So it's not a
institutes.
lecture based
No, it's
class.
not lecture based. It's
They're
kind of
basically-
knowledge sharing sessions.
Okay.
Right? So we get a lot of knowledge from other class fellows because they are having good experience in their own industries, in their own organizations. So you come to know a lot of things from those people.
Of course.
Yep.
Thank you very much for a quite comprehensive answer, Raza. Asad, what do you think are some of the most significant differences between an MBA and an Executive MBA at SDSP?
I think the biggest difference between the two is for our MBA, the experience is not a requirement, right?
Okay.
We, although strongly encourage people to gain experience, but most people have very little 1 to 2 years of experience in our MBA. In our Executive MBA, it's a requirement that you must have worked in the industry for minimum 6 years, but we prefer more than that, right? And our averages show that we actually accept people with more experience. So both Shakil and I, we teach in both MBA as well as an Executive MBA, and when we walk to the classroom, we go there not as like Radha said, that we are more moderator or facilitator instead of a lecturer or a professor, because we know that for example, Raza is from telecommunication.
Okay.
We have people coming from various industries. So we have people, majority of the people who are sitting in the classroom, they have engineering background, right? And the best people who gain from an MBA experiences are people with different backgrounds than
Exactly. I was going
business.
through the brochure and said 51% of the current classes has engineering background.
Yeah, and you'll see, so if you look at all other backgrounds, so it would be about 70 to 75% would be other backgrounds than business, right? So so we have architects who have joined, we have fashion designers who have joined in the past, our Executive MBA. So they gain a lot when we talk about business. That okay, so let's suppose fashion designing, and what is the business? How do you make money? How do you grow? These are the kind of things that we talk about. So when we work in the classroom, we go there also to learn, because we know that yes, I may be the best accountant, but accounting is just a technical field. But this person or the class is going to tell me how accounting is done in their respective industry. So this way, there's a lot of knowledge sharing, right? So we always go there, and I think every single class we come out and we have learned more about the industry than when we actually enter the classroom. So, and most faculty has that kind of a attitude, because they know that as far as the industry is concerned, these people know much more than we do, right? But what we can do is that how can we use the skills that we, so about operations or about finance or about accounting, and how can they do, so this is how it's being done, let's suppose in one industry, and how it can be maybe replicated or with some modification, it can also be applied to other industries. So that's basically what we discuss in classroom. So it's a very interesting classroom setting, and it's a very enjoyable experience. So and hence that's why I've been here for the past 15 years, because every single time you enjoy walking into the classroom, because you know that you will end up learning something new every single time.
Of course.
As a faculty, that is, and I'm sure as a student, you also end up learning something new.
Okay, so we have started getting questions now, and our first question is from Muazzam, and he is asking what kind of experience is preferred? Dr. Church.
The kind of experience, I think what we are looking for in our classroom is the diversity of experience.
Okay.
So experience in an engineering company, experience in a bank, experience in a telco, in running your own business, in a public sector. So all sorts of experience is what we are looking at, and that's how I think the learning happens in the classroom. So if I were to make a class of executive MBA, what I want to make is a rich conversation. So a rich conversation can only happen if there's a depth of experience and
Okay.
there's a diversity of experience.
Of course.
So that's what we are looking for. So when Raza says that 12 years of experience, we are saying that that's the depth. So a
Okay.
person has been working in engineering sector or in telco or in a bank for 12 years mean that he has depth in that industry. And when I'm saying diversity, so some people have in banks, some people have telco, some people coming from manufacturing, some from retailing. So that's the diversity that comes in. So that's how, when we are selecting candidates, that first we are looking at that, what is that this person will bring to the classroom?
Okay.
Because our pedagogy is that we seek to bring that richness among the participants out in the air, in the classroom, and that's what the role of the instructor is, what Asad was saying. And then everybody picks up what he has or she has to pick up from that rich conversation. That's how learning happens. So, this is how we look at the candidate's profile, the experience profile, because the end game is to create a diverse and deep conversation in the classroom.
So basically, executive MBA program and even the MBA program at
Yeah.
LUMS, it's basically open for everyone.
Yep.
People from supply chain, people from economics,
Exactly.
people from education. It might-
From not-profit generating
From-
organizations,
of course.
yeah. So we have people from all sectors. If you look
Yeah.
at the brochure of our executive MBA, you will see people coming from different areas. That's what you want to say.
I think lately, at least for the past 5 or 6 years, a lot of people from the armed forces have
They're
come
also
and
joining in.
So, for example, there are a lot of people who retire between the ages of 40 and 45.
Mhm.
And these are the people who are looking for a second career after retirement. And we have had very, very good, so a few colonels, a few majors who also joined the program, not sure whether this is the right decision, but every single one after graduating thought it was a good experience because it connected them. Because when you are in the army or when you are in the Air Force, so you have one kind of training over there, right? And that's the army way. But when you come over here, and especially if you want to work in the business world, you need those connections. And I think one of the best takeaways from LUMS MBA, LUMS experience as a whole, is the networking that LUMS has been able to provide to all our alumni.
Mhm.
And what I've seen that our alumni are extremely helpful to each other.
Okay.
And I think that's the best takeaway from the LUMS experience that we have to offer.
Okay. So we have got our next question, and Asad is asking, what are the majors available for executive MBA? Do we have majors that we offer?
There is no specialization in executive MBA like
Okay.
our regular MBA. So we don't have a specialization in executive MBA. Basically, see, what we follow is the best practice in executive MBA or MBA. So look at Harvard, for example. They don't have any specialization.
Okay.
So there's a general MBA. That's what we also do. We have a general MBA which serves the need of different people who are coming from different backgrounds.
Okay.
So can I,
Of course.
as far as MBA is supposed to be a general degree. The reason is because if you go into specialization, you are better off doing a master in finance or master in whatever HR.
Mhm.
And MBA, because you have to understand a little bit of everything, every discipline.
Mhm.
And MBA, especially when a person is coming from different background than business. So if you have an engineering background or you're coming from the armed forces, so every single thing. So when we designed the executive MBA, and we review it every 5 years, and we
Okay.
see that how the world has moved and how things are changing, and accordingly we also change the courses. So currently the courses which are being designed or being taught. So we benchmarked, we looked at least 25 to 30 universities, top universities in the world, and saw that what courses are being offered over there.
Okay.
Then we also looked at our local, we talked to our alumni. Some of them working for big companies, some of them entrepreneurs, and we said, so what's needed in the market? What kind of a person would you want to hire? What is the kind of person that you would want to promote at the top position? And then based on that, we came up with these courses that we are currently teaching, right? So every 5 years, there's a change that depending on how things are moving. So for example, right now, digital marketing, how to do things through social media, this is basically what we are trying to focus on because it has changed everything. So there was a time when people used to advertise through billboards and things like that, which was a very, very expensive way of advertising. Now people don't do that anymore because through Instagram, through Facebook, through Google Ad, through YouTube, you can reach more audience and it's very targeted. So these are new ways of doing business, and this is what we try to do. So we try to stay connected with the industry as much as possible.
Okay.
And those are the kind of courses we bring in so that every single course that we teach, one of the things that we always thought about when we were designing courses is that, so we have half the people in our Executive MBA coming from outside Lahore. So almost 30-40% coming from Islamabad and then from Multan and all these. So and if they are driving 4 or 5 hours to Lums and then going back for 5 hours, we don't want to waste their time. We want to make sure that whatever we are teaching, it's applicable, it's something that they learn. So over the weekend, they should take away something which they can use and which they can apply on Monday once they actually go back to their jobs. So that was basically the reason we wanted to make sure that everything that we are offering and the general MBA is that that's the nature of basically the program that we wanted to offer.
And one of the more stellar reasons to come to this Executive MBA program at STSB would be its globalization module.
Yeah.
And Raza, how do you think it helps someone to go for a globalization? I mean, how does it really impact them professionally and personally?
Actually, after first 3 modules, after first year, at the end of the first year, you have to you get an opportunity to visit Silicon Valley. I went in 2018 with Asad Alam.
Okay.
Right? It was literally an eye-opener for me because whatever we saw in Silicon Valley, we went to Google headquarters, Facebook, Oracle, and Apple headquarters. So that was totally a different world, right? We also got chance to attend some lectures in Draper University, Stanford University in Berkeley, right? So it was totally a new world, right? So it was a good experience, right? And the best thing is that which LUMS teaches us, and we found in Silicon Valley, that LUMS not only teaches you how to get a good job, right? They also tells you how to go for your own startups, for entrepreneurship, right? This is what exactly we saw in Silicon Valley, right? They do not only focus you on that how you can get a good job in your career, how you can get promotions, but they also teach you a lot of things which will help you in your own startups.
So it's about doing good at your job as well. I mean, you can also get a promotion afterwards, or maybe during your executive MBA, but also it prepares you for the entrepreneurship.
Obviously, there is a lot of focus on it.
It's a lot of focus on that. Okay. So our next question is from Aisha, and Aisha is asking, are executive MBA participants engaged in extracurricular activities? First of all, I'm gonna direct this question to Raza. Raza, what was your life like?
Well, I'm going to be very honest. I'm not.
That's what we really want you to be.
It, right? You have to compromise your work-life balance for almost 22 months.
Yes.
Just forget about any other extracurricular activity. Right?
Okay.
But we used to have a lot of fun in evenings when we used to come here. Right?
All right.
There are a lot of facilities at LUMS. You have one of the best swimming pool in the
Coca-Cola
country.
Aquatics.
Coca-Cola Aquatics. Then you have a gymnasium, a lot of other activities, a lot of societies. I guess there are 50 plus societies in which you can participate. But since we used to come from Islamabad on every weekend, we didn't get any chance to be part of any society.
Okay.
So, but
it's quite understandable.
These facilities are available in LUMS. It depends on you in which you are interested. For executive MBA, it becomes a little difficult, especially when you are coming from Islamabad, because you are doing a job, full-time job. Most of the class fellows are married,
Mhm.
right? So you have to give some time to your family as well, but most of your time is dedicated to the studies.
So the focus was on some time.
Some time. Yeah.
See, they are those people who have spent already on average 12 years in the industry.
Yes.
So the stage of life they are in, I think they hardly managed to do executive MBA. Yeah.
Or
It is
maybe they've
manageable.
already
It is
given enough of their time
Yeah.
before they
Yeah.
join the Executive
Yes.
MBA.
Yes.
Okay, so our next question is from Faisal Amjad, and Faisal is asking, can you comment on the collaboration that you have with Harvard Business School and the case method? I think he's talking
Yeah.
about the content publication.
So Harvard Business School publishing is our main source of getting the teaching material, for example, cases
Mhm.
and simulations, exercises, industry notes, and so on.
Mhm.
So one. Second, our pedagogy is based on participant-centered learning, which is what Harvard excels at. So participant-centered learning is, as we were talking earlier, it basically says that you have to leverage the richness of the experience and understanding of the students
Okay.
to create the learning experience, as opposed to a lecturer or a person standing on the podium and giving a lecture, making it a one-way conversation from the professor to the students. So that's one approach. The approach that we follow is that it is actually blended learning, where you engage cases, exercises, simulation, experiential activities such as going to Silicon Valley
Mhm.
to make students learn the ideas that you want them to learn, as opposed to telling them the ideas that you want them to learn. So there's a difference between making them learn as opposed to you telling them the ideas.
Okay. That's why we say it's participant-centered
that's
learning.
exactly.
Okay, so our next question is from Mr. Naeem Tahir, and Naeem is asking, I'm a chartered accountant in my mid-40s with post-qualification experience of 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
I plan to transition from my corporate career to be a financial and business consultant.
Mm-hmm.
Kindly advise, considering that I am based in Karachi,
Mm-hmm.
does opting for Executive MBA from LUMS offer enough value for me in my career choice?
Yeah, so see, I assume that this person during the 22 years has been working in different industries, because that's how CEAs work. So now becoming a consultant would require this individual to have broad management frameworks and understanding of different areas, not only of accounting. So this Executive MBA will expose you to a broad spectrum of management issues, ranging from finance to operations to marketing and managing people and so on.
Okay.
So what we'll give you is, over the 2 years, we give you various management frameworks that exist in these areas.
Mhm.
And then as a consultant, I think it helps you to pick up the right frameworks, right ideas
Mhm.
when you are looking at a problem that in today's world is never a problem of one domain. It is always a problem of multiple domains. So I think in
Yes.
that way, this program can be helpful. And there are examples of our graduates who have come from consulting companies or are currently consulting, giving consultancy services. So I think this is how I would look at this question.
And there is
Maybe-
always room for improvement as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question is from Jawad. Jawad is asking how much work experience is required for the Executive MBA program. It's 6 years of work
Minimum,
experience.
but
4
average, as we were talking earlier, is 12 years of experience that sits in our classroom.
All right. The next question is quite an amusing one. So Muhammad Ahmed is asking, how is your Executive MBA degree different from the ones that are offered by LSE and IB? And I think all of you can comment on this. This is a difficult question. Is it a difficult question or is it not?
So I have been teaching in IBA Karachi for 1 year.
Okay.
So, and I have been teaching at LUMS now. So I think it is difficult to comment on IBA or LSE for us sitting at LUMS. What I can tell about LUMS MBA or Executive MBA is that, we have Pakistan's, I would humbly say that we have the best pool of faculty in a business school in Pakistan. number-wise and as well as quality of research that they are doing. Secondly, I think the kind of talent we attract in our executive MBA is also, I think, very high quality in terms of their achievement in the managerial life and the duration of how long they have been working in the industry. Thirdly, I think the pedagogy that we use is unique. It's a combination of cases, experiential learning, simulation, exercises, and so on. And fourthly, I think the large base of alumni network that we have,
Okay.
and the exposure and the experience of highest quality that we provide at our campus. So I think these are the strengths of this program. Yeah, so maybe Asad or Raza can take up.
Okay. Comparing LUMS with other institutes, this was my fourth professional degree, right?
Okay.
And after those tough 2 years, thanks to Allah Almighty, that I took that decision of joining LUMS. The telecom company in which I am working, we used to have a slogan, "Feel the difference," right? So when I joined LUMS, I actually felt the difference between LUMS and other universities. Its infrastructure, its faculty, the cases which we study here, everything is there is huge difference between LUMS and other universities. I'm not going to take a name of any university,
Yes, of course.
but there is a difference. I literally felt the difference between.
And
LUMS
again,
and-
as I've already mentioned, that LUMS, Suleiman Dawood School of Business, is the only business institute in Pakistan to have gained the AACSB accreditation.
Yeah.
And QS has ranked LUMS as top ranked in Pakistan when we talk about graduate employability index, amongst top 50 institutes when we talk about the Asian on the very same index, and amongst top 200 universities on graduate employability worldwide. So this is already a big achievement for LUMS. Okay, moving on, we have got another question, and that is there any interest-free loan for executive MBA?
I think interest-free loan, we do not have any such option. We do have a loan arrangement with the
Student
Muslim
personal
Commercial
loan, I
Bank,
think.
so
Yeah.
that's a possibility.
Yes.
I think it's on a comparatively low rate than the market. That's a possibility. Otherwise, there are students and there are organizations who have made arrangements between them to fund their executive MBA, and in some cases, these students pay back to those organizations, or they serve those organizations for a certain period of time. So those arrangements also exist,
Okay.
but they exist between the individuals and the organizations.
Yes, and if we refer to the funding opportunities, we also have a 50% scholarship
Yeah.
that we offer to admitted female candidates.
Yeah.
And in case, yes, we don't have an interest-free loan option available, but yes, as Dr. Jaja was mentioning, that we have a student personal loan arrangement with Muslim Commercial Bank, and you can get that loan. You can get 1 million approximately for that, and it becomes repayable 6 months after the completion of your degree, and you will have to pay it over the next 5 years. So that's easy, I believe.
So there are options available. So one is a loan from MCB. LUMS over the years has signed multiple MOUs
Yes.
with various companies. For example, even with Rasa, a company, we have signed an MOU. And as far as their company is concerned, so they said that, okay, so we'll pay 75% of the total fee. And the student or the participant, they pay only 25%. So similar kind of MOUs have been signed. And we also give discounts. So if you send 3 participants from your company, we'll give you X number of X percentage discount.
Yes,
If you send more than 5, then we'll also up the discount.
of course.
Similarly, last year we introduced a scholarship to women, which has been a big success, although it was added towards March and April, but still we had a very good number. So almost 25-30% of the classroom,
Okay.
the profile was women, and this year probably it would increase because we are continuing with the scholarship. So we want diversity in the classroom. We want more and more people, and any way that we can help. Unfortunately, there are no scholarships. So this, I think, as far as Executive MBA is concerned, this is the only degree at LUMS which does not offer any scholarship. So because people who are coming, they are already executives, so we expect them to pay, or we expect them to actually have an MOU signed by the by their companies, so that they can have a shared burden, or we can offer them some discount from our side. So there are different ways that the pain of paying can be reduced.
Of course. Yes. Okay. So Sunny is asking, I do have 6 years of work experience, but I do not have 4 years of managerial experience. Can I still apply?
I don't know what kind of other experience the individual has. I think he should consider applying, and then we can look at the overall application and other aspects of the candidate's profile.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, so you can still apply, even if you don't have 4 years of managerial experience.
So 6 years is the minimum, right? So that kind of checks the box that yes, you can apply, right? Okay. And we do call people. So there are 3 things we are looking at, right? So we are looking at your experience. We are looking at your previous degree, and how well you performed, and we are looking at the standardized test. So, and it's a combination of 3. So if you have little experience, so 6 years the minimum, then we look at the other things. So if you have a very good story to tell, if you did well in school, or you have a very good profile, so we would want to hear from you. And normally we call everybody for an interview, and based on the interview, based on how, because sometimes whatever you have achieved in your life, it's very difficult to translate that into an essay. So that's why every time we call, so sometimes we are surprised. Sometimes very, very good candidates don't have a very strong application, but based on the interview, we still would keep them, because they would add value to the classroom, because we understand the class dynamics.
Exactly.
We know that what kind of people that we want to include in the classroom. So 6 years is the minimum, so which means that you can apply.
It would add to the richness of the whole classroom experience. Okay, so Dr. Jansel, could you talk about the testing requirements? And then when you'll do that, I'm going to come to you, I'm going to ask you about your GMAT experience.
Yeah, so this year we have 3 options. Either you do GMAT, or you do GRE, or you do NTS GAT, General Admission Test. So we look at your performance in those tests. And as Asad was earlier mentioning on that, you see, we don't look at the test only.
Okay.
We look at, during your years of work, what have you learned, what have you created, what have you achieved, and how that experience can add value in the classroom.
Okay.
Second thing we look at is your educational background. So how good you have been in your educational background, and how and also we look at, for example, we would want people from law, from finance, from engineering, from social sciences, from medical, from other areas. So all educational backgrounds are relevant, and we look at that how well you have been doing in those areas. So, and thirdly, the test. Yeah, so these are the 3 things I think we look at, and in the interview also we look at the person as a whole in these dimensions.
Okay, so Raza, you took GMAT or did you take GRE?
I took GMAT.
Was it easy?
No, it is. It was difficult.
Okay.
Because I got very less time. That is not an excuse. And honestly speaking, I didn't get very high marks in GMAT score.
Okay.
Right. So I was talking to one of my senior MBA fellow,
Okay.
but he told me that this is not the only thing which is considered. So
As
even
Dr.
with
Jacob
these
was just telling
marks,
us.
you can qualify.
Okay.
Right. So it is your overall profile, your academic previous background, your GMAT score, and I think most important thing is your performance in that 1 hour interview session as well, because they start grilling you in that.
How long
interview.
was that interview?
It was more than 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Yeah. And
All
they tell you what they are going to do with you in next 2 years.
They were already trying to scare you
That
away.
was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
they
didn't
asked
get
you
the cue.
difficult questions.
Or maybe it was 20 minutes but felt 45 minutes.
Who interviewed?
Umair.
Oh, okay.
And there was one guy who didn't teach us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So yeah, what kind of workload can students expect? I think it has already been clarified by Raza that you will have to go through a very rigorous program here, but that is worth your while. How much work experience is required, being asked by Jawad. Again, Jawad, we have already answered that question quite in detail. We need 6 years of experience with 4 years of managerial as well, but still 6 years top. Why should I choose an executive MBA? Why not go for something else maybe? I mean, being asked by Mustafa.
Yeah.
I think it's the only degree which is flexible enough where you can retain your current job.
Okay.
You don't have to quit your job to get a degree. And not just any degree, but a degree which you can be proud of, a degree which will open doors for you, a degree which can really help you excel in your career.
Okay.
So it's not, so a lot of times people ask this question that why should we do it? And I said, I don't have to answer that. You have to answer that question yourself. That why do you need this degree? What are you lacking? Because you have to do a lot of soul searching and what you have achieved and what is lacking. Because I think you have to be honest to yourself, and you know that what is lacking and what can help you. So if you think, I think nobody can judge you better than yourself.
Of course.
So if you feel that there are certain things which are lacking in your performance at work, or there are certain things which will help you excel, so you have to decide. So I think we are fairly open. We talk about everything that we teach, what are the disciplines that we cover, and you have to decide that is this what you want, and if that's the case, then you're welcome to join.
Okay, all right. So how much of the program is done online, and how do professors evaluate the students? I think these are two different questions, but being asked by the same person. Huram.
So see, the online part is very basic and very small. I would say 95% of what you do, or 90% of what you do, is the non-online work.
Right.
And the evaluation is, again, as I mentioned before, see, it is driven by the pedagogy that we follow. So our pedagogy is participant-centered, meaning everybody has to contribute to the learning process by adding to the conversation going on in the classroom.
Right.
Therefore, it becomes very important that what you say in the classroom is valuable for others.
Okay.
So therefore, one of the main components of evaluation is the class participation. What do you say in the classroom? How do you contribute to the conversation? What can others learn from what you say? What is the managerial insight in your conversation? What are the takeaways? How do you look at the situation that is different from how others have been looking at? And now your approach is complementing and extending the conversation in the classroom.
Okay.
So that's the class participation thing. Second important component is the written assignments or exams. So exams are generally very practical oriented. For example, some instructors use cases as exams.
Okay.
So they give you, rather than asking you to reproduce what you have been memorizing, they ask you to apply your knowledge in a real life situation given in the form of a case. So they would give you a case and you analyze that case. They would ask you questions. If you were there in that case, in that situation, considering your understanding of the course, how would you react?
Okay.
What would you do? What would be your suggestions? So I think that is very action oriented evaluation of your knowledge.
All right.
As opposed to the examination or testing your memory. So that's the written part, the exams part, and then they give you projects also. Okay. So projects are the projects push you to go in the field and test the ideas that you have been talking about in the classroom and see whether they are working, they are not working. What do you need to learn more? How is it endorsing what you have learned? How is it contradicting with what you have learned? So if it is contradicting, what do you need to learn more? And where do you need to learn more? So that gives you a real life local experience, or local means in Pakistan, the experience of working in a situation. So that is again application oriented. You apply your knowledge and you test it is working or not. So I think these 3 or 4 are the main components of how students are evaluated in a typical course. So
overall, there is relative marking in the class. The class is quite competitive, but the good thing is most of the time it is a healthy competition between class fellows because they support each other, they learn from each other. So there is a bell curve applied, right?
Okay.
And overall relative marking.
So Raza, how different was it for you? You had a different academic background before joining LUMS, and the way you would have been marked would have been different at LUMS as well. Then the professor focusing on evaluating you through your class participation, on your application of your knowledge.
Honestly speaking, we were not much worried about the evaluations about this course. We were much more interested in the knowledge which we were getting there.
Right.
So when I say it is tough, you just have to spare 1 or maximum 2 hours on daily basis. You have to sacrifice your other weekend which you are not in class. But if you are serious about your career, about your studies, right, then you can easily manage it. It is not that much difficult, but you have to be serious about these studies. You have to spare time regularly.
Okay. All right. So the next question we've got is from Ahmed Amin, and Ahmed is asking, how does the career office help the MBA students? Any successful examples?
Yeah, so generally you see the executive MBA students are already working in organizations, and so they don't have immediate needs of finding jobs, but certainly when they are getting closer to the graduation, they are looking for opportunities to move on to new positions or new industries even. So that's where our placement office, which has become gradually more active now, helps you connect with the right individuals. And during the 2 years also, we have some networking sessions where we invite our alumni, we invite employers and their representatives from the human resource department. So they come here, they interact with our students, and that's where the conversation between the students and the HR teams happens, and ideas emerge how there can be a synergy between the HR wings and the students. So these are the possible avenues where the employment can be generated. So you want to say something on this?
See, as far as LUMS is concerned, most jobs are in the market, I would say. So most jobs in the market are for fresh graduates, right? And that's how it is. And not only in Pakistan, but also outside Pakistan. Most jobs are going to be at entry level, right?
Okay.
So for executive MBA with an average 12 or 15 years of experience, so they are looking for lateral hiring, right? And by definition, they are going to be few and far in between these kind of jobs. So LUMS, although we do have a very good active career center, but the networking that you're establishing, right, that will help you. So we have students, we have alumni working for every single company. I can guarantee you pick any big company and you will be able to connect to our LUMS alumni over there, right? So this way, getting or connecting with a person at any company is easier, right? So, and you can ask that, and you can do it yourself. You can go through the career center that I want somebody. Can you name a person from Pepsi, or can you name a person from Coke or Tetra Pak or Indus Motor or any company in Lahore or Karachi or any of the bigger any other, and we will be able to do that. So we can manage all that, right? And this way, at least they can talk about if there's any opportunity for lateral hiring, right? But these positions, by definition, are more difficult to fill, because a lot of times they are looking for people who has worked for the company for X number of years, and they can fill the. So there are opportunities, but the thing is that they are not as many as a fresh graduate or entry level positions.
Okay. And while most of our students in executive MBA they are working for different companies, our career services office is a very, very active office as well. I mean, LUMS is partners with more than 1,050 local and international recruiters. And this could be one of the reasons that 98% of the placements take place within the first 9 months of the graduation of our students. Okay, so the next question is from Hadi, and Hadi is asking, I have all my education as a private candidate after metric. Is this going to have an impact on my admission decision?
Being a private candidate does not matter. What matters is the quality and the
that you can bring
yes. What have you
Of
achieved?
course.
in
And
your-
is there any minimum score that we have established for GAT, for GMAT, or for GRE?
It's according to the Higher Education Commission's
Mhm.
requirements. Minimum on GMAT and GRE is not much there. It's very flexible. But on GMAT, on GAT, NTS GAT, I think there is a minimum of 50 from HEC.
50 from UGC.
But I would say that look at our website's description of minimums.
Okay, all right. So the next question is, can EMBA students continue working full-time during the EMBA program? Of course, this is Osman. Yes, this question has already been taken care of. Yes, this
They
is
are
why we have
working.
designed this program as Executive MBA, so that you don't have to quit your job. You'll be joining LUMS 4 times a month on 2 alternate
week.
Two
periods.
times, two times a month,
Twice
and
a month.
each time for 2 days.
Yeah, that makes about
Yeah.
4 times. Okay, all right. So, can I do PhD after my Executive MBA?
That's your choice.
But
Nobody
is
is
it
going to
possible?
stop
No, no,
you. Nobody is
I-
going to stop you.
See, if I would answer this question, so the short answer is yes, like Shakil said. But if you want to do a PhD, then MBA or Executive MBA are probably the worst degrees for you. These are really, really bad degrees for you, because for PhD you need a research-based degree, right? So an MS where they talk about research methodology and things like that. We don't. MBA or Executive MBA by definition is supposed to be a practical degree, right? So if you do want to go for a PhD, you can, but a lot of times if you want to go for a PhD, they would probably disregard any MBA from anywhere in the world,
Okay.
and they would ask you to do the coursework all over again. So if you want to do a PhD, then do a MS. Don't do a MBA. MBA is for people who want to go and work.
So yeah, so see, there are examples of faculty members even at LUMS
Yeah.
and all over the world in business schools who did MBA and then they decided to do PhD. So PhD has its own requirements. When you do PhD, start PhD, it has its own requirements for the research training, and you have to do that also.
So Fatma is asking, please differentiate between the cross-cultural and globalization module and managing operation and people module. These are 2 different things.
Yeah,
two different
Globalization is
Yeah.
when we take you to
yep.
Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Globalization is the focus is on innovation.
Okay.
The focus on technology. The focus is, for example, so for the past 5 years, I've been taking the class to Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
Every year that we go to Silicon Valley, I mean, the things are moving so fast over there that every year there's a new theme. So just to give you an example, like 3 or 4 years back, every company that we visited in Silicon Valley, they were talking about big data.
Big data.
How do you
Okay.
harvest information from big data?
Oh.
The next year we went, everybody was talking about cloud computing.
Okay.
Last year we went, everybody was talking, okay, cloud computing is wonderful, but how do we secure our information on cloud computing? So security was the big thing. So every year there's a new theme. So things are moving so fast. So the whole purpose of exposing you to Silicon Valley is to understand how the world is moving.
Okay.
Right? So as far as people management is concerned, that is basically in the local context in Pakistan, how companies are managing their people. What can you do to retain people? What can you do to make people happy? I mean, so one of the companies that we visited, and the best thing about globalization module is that the companies that we are visiting, we are actually welcomed by our own alumni. So there are roughly about 200 alumni working for all these Silicon Valley companies,
Okay.
and LUMS alumni, and they are the one who actually welcome us. So we were visiting this LUMS alumni. Her name was Kamal. Kamal was the HR person for Google. So we were at Google, and I asked her, so what's your job as in HR? She said, I look after the happiness index at Google. I said, how do you manage happiness? She said that because so Google is such a wonderful company that people normally don't leave for other companies. People leave to have their own startups. So we have to create a culture where people can do their own startups staying at Google instead of going away. So because these are such talented people, we don't want to lose them. So we will do anything necessary to create an opportunity where we can retain them over here. So she was looking after the happiness index at Google. So these are the kind of things that we basically bring to our classroom, what local companies are doing over here to retain people. So that's a different module, but both of them are equally important.
Okay. And our last question is, does Executive MBA lead to 18 years of education?
Certainly, yes.
Okay, so
yes, it is 18 years of education.
18 years of education. All right. So thank you very much for joining us today. We have taken a lot of your time today, and thank you very much for being a part of this. But before we sign off, I'd like to remind you that the last day to apply for this Executive MBA program is 5th May. So make sure we're getting your application before the last day. And in case you have queries other than this, you can always refer those queries at admissions@lums.edu.pk, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Please stay tuned to our website for further updates. Thank you very much once again. See you all at LUMS.